chapter, and everything I learned pretty much was through cases. So I literally remember hemphillism. I've never seen it in real life, but I would never forget that. So if I ever come across someone who has hemphillism, I would know that's what it is. But it was a great way to learn where we, like, someone looked up pathophysis, someone looked up how you diagnose, someone looked up how you treat, and then we all had we had mini sessions at the end of the week and everyone shared what they learned. And that to me was like the foundation of adult learning, and like not waiting for someone to spoon feed you, but to find the information on your own and work with its group to like coalesce that.
So case-based?
Yeah.
We have a model that premises a little bit on case-based that I'll share in a couple of moments, but yeah, as opposed to just memorization.
Yeah.
Well, the classical academic model predicates itself on a lecturer that stands in a big auditorium at a podium. In most medical schools, there are many still today that are built around 8 hours of unidirectional teaching, memorization, note-taking. And there are a lot of schools that follow that model. You can tell I'm a historian because I'll give you one other anecdote that I think is quite fun. Believe it or not, the first 4-year medical school in the model in the United States for 2 years of classroom-based training, 2 years of clinical training, came out of Pennsylvania, University of Penn, the hospital there. And it was actually Benjamin Franklin in 17, oh boy, I'm losing it, I'm reflecting on the 17, I can't recall the date, in the decade or so after the American Revolution, that serving as chair of the board there approved a 4-year academic model. The only difference for them was their first 2 years were clinical, so they had early clinical exposure, and then their third and their fourth year was all didactic, and it was the same thing both years, so they learned one thing and then they had to sit through the same classes again in their final year. And the reality is there's not a whole heck of a lot that's changed in places around the country. So when we started with a whiteboard and a blank slate, we thought of a number of the things that each of you mentioned. The first was community. We wanted to develop physicians that were really comfortable not only serving but being a part of a community. And so when we built our medical school, which on the left you can see the academic hall, it's a 5-story, $100 million academic center. Directly next to the medical school, we built student community, student housing, and the students are expected to live there unless they have extenuating circumstances. There are shared spaces for learning, and to be transparent, we're doing it at a loss. We're losing money on it, but we did not want our students to be scattered around and have them just show up and leave every day. We wanted them to walk to and from class. We wanted them to play pickleball. On our first week of class, one of the students said, "I love grilling. Can I have a barbecue for everyone?" And that was exactly the sort of goal of inspiring physicians in training that come together and learn what a community means. The second element was getting them into the community as soon as possible. So on their second day at our school during orientation, we got them out of the classroom, we got them out of the building, and we sent them out on a community service in groups. And we also tied them in with opportunities for long-term community engagement, and effectively have given them space in their schedule where they have protected time to participate in community entities. So it's not an extracurricular, it's not something to be done on the weekends in lieu of relaxation, but they actually have built-in protected community engagement time. That was very important for us. With regard to the curriculum itself, I think it is worth offering a bit more. We've built a little bit on the case-based mantra, and effectively we pull our students into small teams of 8, and throughout the week they solve cases together, they see patients together, and in some instances they're graded together, knowing that you can sometimes win, find success, or fail with your teammates. And so alongside solving facilitated cases in a way similar to what you described, they actually answer board-style questions together, they work through problems, and we have team-based communication, conflict resolution, change management up front, so that as they're experiencing what it's like to have to fight with your your colleague about getting an answer right. They're also learning how to be a good teammate, listener, and learn where to lead in different seats. The other thing I would offer for our mantra, and you asked, how do you make primary care physicians, how do you incentivize it? I think there's been a number of experiences across the country recently that thought, well, if you throw money at the problem, it will get better. And a number of medical schools have committed to free medical school education under the guise that would lead to underserved students entering and students exiting into primary care. And a lot of the early results at schools like NYU are showing exactly the opposite, that when you relieve debt, it simply has led to less underrepresented matriculation and less students going into primary care. So just throwing money at the problem, I don't think is the answer, although I think it's a good solution to defray debt and improve reimbursement, but I don't know if that's the pinch point at the academic level. The thing that I think is relatively unique for us is that our dean, Dr. Brian Kessler, is a family physician. Myself as associate dean, and our associate dean for GME is also a family physician. And I don't know, I haven't run the numbers, but if you look across the country, I don't know if there's another medical school where the top 3 clinical positions are all family physicians. We have committed that every single Wednesday, we have 2 full-time family physicians that interact with all of our students. So we have clinical skills lab from week 1 and throughout the entire curriculum that family physicians are role models in their clinical skills every single week. And I can say on day 1 of orientation, our dean started the medical school off with these words, which I will immortalize and say forever. He said, "Welcome to the first class of the Meredith School of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm Dr. Brian Kessler. I am a family physician, and I expect that all of you will be family physicians too. And if you want to be a specialist, that's okay, but boy, we want every one of you to be a family physician." And so when it comes to rhetoric, role modeling, we've built that in as an important part of emulating for our future physicians what we hope and expect for them. And then we have embedded some other fun innovations that I did want to share for this group. Being a technologically advanced medical school has been really fun. While we do have a small cadaveric lab, we also have virtual reality, both for anatomy and then also for clinical simulation. So you'll see some of the images in the top. These are actually our students going through anatomic, team-based prosections. So we actually have an anatomist that wears a headset along with the students, and it is a shared virtual experience. So everyone sees the same 3D image from where it's situated, and as the prosector points or pulls a muscle or dissects, all of that is conveyed to the students from where they're sitting as well. And so that they can have a conversation with 5, 10, or 20 together in a room, reviewing anatomy dynamically, peeling away the layers of the body, and doing it together in real time. The other benefits of virtual reality anatomy is that the cadavers do not start to slowly disintegrate. So the students get to use them for all 2 years of their clinical learning, or their preclinical learning rather. And you can imagine, for those of you that went through the experience, by month 3, you weren't necessarily learning a lot, and you'd often have classmates go, "Oops, I cut that thing, I guess we don't have it anymore," and we don't really have to worry about that as much with the virtual reality. The other really incredible thing is we do have an inpatient-outpatient simulation center, and we have one room that has 360-degree projectors, and can simulate any clinical environment, any environment we want to, a rural crash site, an emergency room waiting area, and that actually interacts with the 3D headset as well. So the students can enter any simulated clinical environment that we would like for them. I think as far as other technologies, we have really benefited from some other things that I think are unique. We have stethoscope covers that simulate what the sounds would be for murmurs, pneumonia, rales. So when our students are working with their standardized patients, they aren't just fed a piece of paper that says, you know, you hear a third heart sound. They actually hear it when they're listening to them. So it is a little more tactile and hands-on. We've partnered with an awful lot of local primary care residencies as well, and we have 2 required underserved family medicine rotations in the 4th year, alongside the cores in the 3rd year as well. We hope that we'll be a school that will make as many primary care physicians as possible that really inspire family medicine. We are yet to see what that will look like. I know a lot will talk the talk. We hope we can walk the walk as well. We do not plan on feeding into the dean's lie, so the numbers that we share publicly will be at 3 years post-graduation, not just at the point of graduation for what our primary care percent will be. So we hope to be really honest about that as well. And so I think with that, I'd like to just thank Larry for the time to share the experience. If any of you are traveling through Western Maryland and want to come by, I would be very, very happy to offer a tour, show our new facility, and certainly if you have any suggestions or recommendations for us to be more innovative, I'd welcome this as well. With that, I'll pause.
So what are you guys doing intentionally to encourage folks for primary care, and specifically family medicine? Because it's built for some, but not for others, but for the ones who it's built for, what experiences is everyone getting so that those who are meant for it go for it?
Yeah, so I mean, I would echo some of the things that I'd shared already, which would be having multiple family medicine full-time faculty that are readily there as part of the key role models for their clinical skills. Mm-hmm. We still have not invited the students to early clinical exposure. We're kind of working on when we would do that and what settings that will look like. We are expanding our family medicine residency with the hopes that will provide a little bit more as well. I think that in my mind, it's when I review historical barriers to students, I think among them the greatest has been role modeling and availability and access to family physicians in the first 2 to 3 years, and that by the time the students connect with family physicians, they've already been influenced by a lot of other specialists. That was one of the big fights in the 1970s, was really to get family medicine influence early. We feel like we're doing as much as we can in that regard.
Are you guys looking at, is there a research requirement at all for
We do. We have a community-based research requirement, so all the students are actually expected, and there's credit applied, that they will do some community-based research outside of the walls of the medical school. So getting them outside it's not necessarily a bench research, although students can do that as well, but it really is meant to be engaging with patients clinically and in the community.
I ask that because in terms of getting folks engaged in ways that clinical is great, but then also other ways to engage within family medicine. So are there thoughts on having, like subsidizing students going to conferences, encouraging them to present case reports in family medicine journals, encouraging them to present posters at like FMEC or other family medicine conferences?
We do. We have a fund to support students to attend to some of those, and I'm excited. I hope our journal coincides with the opportunity to tell our students that they should submit for it.
I was wondering with the sense of community, if you had a kitchen, this teaching kitchens and teaching them all of the things that I know when I went to school, the gut microbiome and nutrition, all the things that we've learned that are important for them to keep themselves healthy, like sleep versus staying awake studying, but the food and how they might do that as a community and how they might be able to help their patients with that in the future, if that was part of it.
We went back and forth on building a kitchen in the medical school, and we ultimately did not. We have a community garden that's about 200 feet away from the medical school, and then we also have a program that's a food pharmacy that is also, again, just situated adjacent to the medical school, and that program is a physician prescription for food, so that any physician in the community can write a prescription for their patients, either if they're worried about nutrients, if they're worried about heart failure, if they're worried about high blood pressure, and targeted weekly meals are distributed for free for patients that need it from a physician's prescription. So that's called our Food Farm, F-A-R-M, pharmacy program that the students are part of. They actually helped in orientation pack some of the meals to learn a little bit about, so what would it look like to have a heart-healthy diet or a diabetic diet.
Sorry I missed the beginning, so apologies to everybody if you've already covered this. I have 2 points. One is, are you doing selective admissions or admission screening for folks that have interest in family medicine, because that's been shown to be quite beneficial? And then the pipeline support that you give is wonderful, but getting people in. And the other one comment you're right about, if you just throw money at people in the medical schools like NYU that have done it, just say, well, now we have a very competitive class, and we can just pick who we want, and they don't look for people that are interested in primary care. But if you tie the loan forgiveness to service later,
Exactly.
I don't know if you've had the chance to do any of that in Maryland, we were thinking of that, but if you tie the debt forgiveness to service later, then you do get primary care docs by just building the continuity through.
So our 2 measures for us are 50% of our matriculants are from the area, and that 50% graduate into specific primary care residencies. So those are our 2 kind of measures for success. We haven't established quotas for entry, but rural and primary care interest are valued in the admissions process. Of our 97 students, we have 15 scholarships, ranging from 1 full scholarship to some that offset about half or more. And a number of those are tethered to primary care rural service.
I'd be curious, and you may have done some of this already, but I know some schools, like state schools, like Wright State, for example, is very family med focused at the beginning, then they've kind of drifted a little bit away as they go. If you've thought about like safeguards to like maintain the primary care focus with time?
I'm so glad you asked, because I think about this often, which is, and again, coming back to, you can talk the talk all you want, but what do the numbers ultimately show? And I think an awful lot about, if you have a president or a dean that transitions, what does that look like? If you lack some of the connections, if you have some clinical sites that just really aren't as primary care friendly, I think that some of this will be time will tell, and how we support a culture of it, and if that culture becomes, and we've talked a little bit about safeguards. Right now, I think it's the right people in the room, and I think what you're describing is exactly ready to go, is what are the right processes. I think Dennis Gingrich said he would build a primary care influencing scholarship program, right, Dennis?
We'll discuss that.
We do plan to emulate some of what Penn State has done with their primary care scholars program, which has been really exceptional. So Dennis, I hope you know you've written a blueprint that we hope to be able to borrow from a little bit as well.
You're very kind.